Hey guys, this is Alexander with Taco Street Locating. If you're looking for an apartment in East Austin, then this video is for you. So, my business, Taco Street Locating, helps people find apartments all around Austin. I've been doing this for about 6 years. I've helped hundreds of people find places to rent all throughout Austin. I'm totally free to work with, so if you find this video useful, hit me up on my website, tacostreetlocating.com, so I can help you find your next apartment. So in this video, I'm going to explain everything I know about apartments in East Austin to make your decision easier. I'm going to talk about everything from all the different subregions of East Austin, all of the apartments that are on the market, the ones that are being built, and my opinions on them. For some context, I've been living in Austin for 9 years. I've been living in East Austin for 5 years, so I know this neighborhood extremely well. It's my favorite part of Austin, so hopefully you're going to find this video useful. So, if you're looking in East Austin, chances are you want to be reasonably close to downtown, but don't want to pay downtown prices. So that's why I'm going to start in this close to downtown area. And here I'm going to start with the most popular area that my clients tend to look at is going to be this core strip of East Austin along here. That's between East 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th Street. So I'll start with actually one building here, 3 Waller. It's a building that's technically downtown on the other side of the highway. I don't really put a lot of people here. I actually don't think any of my clients have ever leased here. Personally, I'm not a big fan of it. It's a weird location in this predominantly commercial area tucked along the highway, and you can see by the 3.2 star reviews, it just has a lot of review issues. The building's nice, but it just has a lot of problems when it comes to location. It seems management doesn't really have their stuff together. Moving into the core of East Austin, you have the Corazon, which is part of this Saltillo area where you have like Whole Foods and Target and a whole bunch of stuff in this area. This zone, I would say, is one of the most walkable parts of Austin, including downtown Austin. A ton of my clients wind up in this area because there's so much stuff to do in this area and you don't pay downtown prices. So a building like Corazon tends to be a fairly strong one. It's nice, modern. Sometimes doesn't always get the best reviews, but its walkability is very good. So I've had a lot of people lease here. The Saltillo has historically been my most popular building in East Austin, largely because it's 4 different buildings, so they have like a ton of units to choose from. I know they've also had review problems, so it's worth kind of checking that out. But in general, the building's pretty nice. Some good amenities, chew pools. One on the downtown side over here, one on the East Austin side over here. Pricing usually is pretty good out here, so I would check it out. Further in, probably the best comparable building to the Saltillo is going to be the Arnold. I've put a lot of people here also. There's a ton of activity here in this part of East Austin, like bars, restaurants, food trucks. So if you're going to be at the Arnold, you're going to have a ton of stuff to walk to in the immediate area. There might be a bit too much stuff, so if you want something that's more relaxed, calmer, then you may want a different part of East Austin that we'll get to shortly. Here's Eastside Station. It's kind of like the Arnold, but it's just a bit more boring. It doesn't have the same kind of interesting style that the Arnold does. The Arnold's gym is really good, whereas Eastside Station, it's just a functional standard building. They really didn't invest much in the aesthetics here, but it's worth knowing about. Then here you have, it's actually two buildings that merged into one. One used to be the Indy, and they just merged into Central East Austin. It's this smaller one. What used to be the Indy are these like super tiny units in like the 300 to 400 square feet range, and the two bedrooms are like 500 to 700. So they're just really small units. So I don't have a lot of people that lease there because they're so small. The Central hasn't really been popular with my clients. It usually tends to be a bit more expensive than other buildings nearby, while just not offering as much, but it's there. It's worth knowing about. So continuing along this core of East Austin, you have 7 East. And 7 East is like a 7 out of 10 in almost every category. It doesn't win in any categories, but it doesn't really lose in any categories. The one major negative is that East 7th along here tends to be pretty busy, so you can definitely get some traffic noise, but the location's good. It's still walkable. You have a really big dog park along this corridor here. Nice little rooftop deck. So it's a solid overall building. It's not really going to blow you away, but there's nothing like really wrong with it. A little further, there is E6, which is a nice little, much quieter area compared to the area where like the Arnold is, because it's a few blocks away from like the core of all the stuff. E6, it's a bit cozier, quieter. There is a train that goes along here that can get kind of loud sometimes, so that's worth knowing about. But really just depends on where specifically your unit is. I've put a lot of people here. They have some really nice floor plans. So that about wraps up the core of East Austin that most of my clients wind up. Further down, there's a building here, the Weaver, that's in this pretty cozy, more residential nook of the Cesar Chavez neighborhood. Its location is really interesting because it puts you super close to the river trails right over here. You can just walk out the building and you're right there. So that's really cool. Then going further north, you have, I would say, my favorite part of Austin overall, which is this East 11th corridor. And I'm also throwing in a few technically downtown buildings into this region. So we'll start here with the Beverly. The Beverly, it's a pretty solid mid-rise building, and I'm not a big fan of its location because Red River here is a very busy party and live music venue area, and it can get pretty chaotic on the weekends. And it's not so much the building's nice. The homeless shelter is here, which may be kind of annoying. It's right next to this part of the highway, so it's kind of tucked awkwardly in a more social party part of downtown. About a block and a half up, you're a tad further away from the more social part of Red River. You have these two buildings, the Alexian Waterloo. I've put a ton of clients here. It's a super nice high-rise with a really cool rooftop pool area. All the amenities are on the top floor, which is pretty awesome. Thanks, Mom. I put a lot of clients here, and even though it's right on the highway, the windows are pretty well sealed, so you don't really get a ton of noise. So if you're looking for units that are going to have some really nice views, this is going to be a solid one, especially if you can get facing south, where you can get a downtown view, or something facing west that gets you more of a hill country view. Those are going to be really nice. So right next to it is a brand new one that just opened up called the Waller. I'm pretty excited about this one. It's another really spectacular high rise that's going to rival everything else in downtown. That's going to be really good, comparable for Lexington Waterloo. So you're definitely going to see these two together. For the same reasons, I think this one is going to have really cool access to western hill country views and some southern downtown views. And right now, since they just opened, pricing and specials are really good. Who knows what will happen later on. In this area, this is more of a government building, hotel, commercial area. So it's not as residential as the other parts of, say, East Austin or the other parts of downtown. But you do have this cool Waterloo Park that opened up fairly recently that doubles as a cool area to walk around and a music venue. I like that area a lot. Then getting back into East Austin, you have probably my favorite building in East Austin is going to be the Avenir. I've lost count how many of my clients have leased here. The building itself, it's spectacularly nice. The management team has been stable. They're really professional. I like them a lot. I go to that building all the time. They have a rooftop pool, mid-level pool, an indoor basketball court. Here, you have the option of units that face downtown, which is going to be really nice and dramatic. But those views do have some highway noise, which could be annoying. I actually really like the east-facing views here, where you face out into this direction, where it's really nice and quiet and serene. You don't hear anything when you're on the east side of the building. So I like that building a lot. And I like East 11th, this specific zone, a lot, because when you're in downtown, you really can't turn downtown off. You're kind of just in downtown, you're in the concrete jungle, and there really isn't anywhere to escape for some peace and quiet. Whereas if you're here, kind of straddling both neighborhoods in downtown and East Austin, this central East Austin neighborhood is just a really chill, relaxed area to walk around. I used to live on East 11th for 4 years, here at the 11, so I know this area extremely well, and it just has a really nice, calm, relaxing neighborhood energy, just being steps away from downtown. And this little strip of stuff along East 11th is really cool. You have places like Paperboy for great brunch, Nickel City, it's my favorite bar in Austin, Old 1000, Try Hard Coffee, this little music venue, food truck park called Kenny Durham's Backyard around here. Quickie Pickie's fantastic. It's just this really nice, homey, small business neighborhood that I fall in love with. A lot of my clients fell in love with. So I'm a huge fan of this specific area. You have the 11, where I used to live at for 4 years. Pretty solid living experience. The building itself isn't super interesting. It's kind of a stale, dry feel, as a lot of Windsor buildings are. But you get just kind of basic, ordinary, mid-rise experience with a nice little rooftop deck area that faces downtown. Right next to it, there's the Amley East Side, which is the oldest building we're going to cover in this list, and by old I mean 2007, whereas everything else is about under 10 years old. Amley East Side doesn't have some of the same like dramatic luxury as a lot of the other buildings. Feels a bit older, maybe a bit dated, but the value for the square feet tends to be good compared to a lot of stuff in East Austin. So for the value and location, a lot of my clients still move here. So moving out of the core of East Austin, we'll go a bit deeper into the neighborhood where it's not as walkable, but out here there's been a ton of businesses opening. There's a lot more to do than there used to be. And even if you don't have a car, this area is still going to be compelling because of how much stuff there is in the neighborhood. And you do get more of a local energy than you do when you're much closer to downtown. So we'll start here. Lenox 7th. Super nice building. Kind of like this modern brick energy with some good amenities. It's not super walkable, and you're along East 7th, so this is going to be a more busier area. But there's a lot of stuff that's open in the specific zone to walk to, so it's more walkable than it used to be, but it's still not like the core region. You're still going to have to drive for your grocery stores and all that stuff, but you're going to get some better pricing out here than you would in the core. Right next to it, you have Nexus East, which is just a really good comparable building. I don't think it's as well reviewed as Lenox 7th is. And it's along two busy streets instead of one. I've had a few clients move here. It's been pretty good overall. There's a new apartment being built right next to it. I don't even know what it's called yet. That's probably opening up in the next year and a half. So if you're looking for a head, have that on your radar. Further up, you have Trailhead, which is another really nice building. It's just another mid-rise. A lot of these mid-rises are kind of the same thing over and over and over again. So you're not going to get a ton of variability with the building itself. You're more just choosing the location and the management team. But overall, the unit is nice. And what makes this specific area cool is this Walnut Creek Trail that actually goes, you have this park here, but there's a full trail, hence the name Trailhead, that goes on really deep into the neighborhood, past the highway. You can go miles and miles and miles along this path. So if you like cycling or running, then this could be a really good option for you. And this year they're opening up Trailhead 2 in this little zone right here, so that there's going to be a lot more options to choose from. Deeper in this neighborhood, where it's a bit more residential, this new building just opened up, Broadstone East End. Another standard mid-rise, kind of that luxury feel. Haven't been there super often yet, but I think it's going to be a pretty good one overall. Here's Think East. I'm pretty sure this one was, or maybe still is, an affordable housing collaboration with a lot of under market priced units. Worth knowing about if you don't have the budget for the standard market stuff. Here's one that hasn't opened yet. The good one should be opening in 2024, maybe 2025. We'll see. Then further into, you have the MLK and Manor Road areas, which this is going to be much closer to the University of Texas. So if you go there or you work there, then this cluster of buildings is going to be worth knowing about. So this area, it's not as busy as this core of East Austin, but it's more residentially, and it has its own unique neighborhood charm. So if you don't need to be in the middle of all the action and you're just trying to get some better pricing and don't mind driving a little bit more, then this part of East Austin is going to be really good to look at because you're still going to have a ton of bars and restaurants in this zone. You may just have to do a little bit more driving. So all these buildings are kind of like your standard run-of-the-mill mid-rise. You're just choosing between new or super new, or this building is just opening up. So you have Elon East, Starlight. This is one of the newest ones. It's going to be probably the nicest of this cluster right now. Then you have MLK Highline, which here the units themselves are nice, but there's no really amenities here. There's no gym, there's no pool. So I'm not a huge fan of this one because it lacks amenities, but if you don't care about amenities, then it should be fine. Here's one I forgot to mark, the Rail. It's a really small building, but it I forgot to mention that this is like where the train station is that can take you to downtown, to like the Saltillo part of East Austin, or all the way north to the Domain. And this is an electric train, so it's not going to be like the super loud freight train that goes through downtown. But the Rail usually has some really good pricing. I've put a few people here. It's going to be a good comp for everything else here. The main building is going to be Platform, which is now like a combination of 3 buildings, so there's a lot to choose from. Pricing tends to be pretty good here. I think it's pretty fine. You got Houndstooth Coffee on the bottom floor. So another building that's in the process of opening up is the Block Yard. I haven't been there since it's not open yet, but this is just going to add to the mix of this giant train station corridor of all these buildings. So further into East Austin, there's a new one that's opening up called the Emma Browning, and it's a pretty nice, cozy neighborhood. You have one of the most interesting barbecue spots in Austin, KG Barbecue here. You're right outside of this park by Mueller. So if you want a more like residential part of East Austin, this is going to be a great area to go to. This is Mueller. I'm going to have another video just for Mueller, so we're just going to skip that and go to the more satellite exterior parts of East Austin. So up north here, there's the High Grove, which is their standard mid-rise in, I'll call it a more up-and-coming part of East Austin. I guess, gentrification, whatever you want to call it, isn't as dense here as it is in the core of East Austin, but the building's really nice. And if you don't mind being a little bit further north, it's going to be worth looking at. Here's one, the Banks of Springdale. This one is right along the Walnut Creek Trail. The building's nice, the pricing tends to be really good. But there's just not much in this specific area. You can see there just aren't a lot of bars or restaurants, or you're just gonna have to drive more to get to the core of East Austin down here. Then you have a few buildings that are along the Highway 183. Again, the buildings are kind of your standard mid-rises. I'm not a big fan of the locations. Because a place like Lenox Park, you're going to have to get on and off the highway anytime you want to leave or get back to the apartment. This one's going to be better, Citizen House, where it's, even though it's along 183, you're going to be able to take MLK, the highway, to get into East Austin instead of having to use the highway all the time. So if all these buildings that are along the highway, this one is going to be the best one. Then you have the Laurel down here. Again, the building is nice. They have a coffee shop right there in the building. But same like these others, to get anywhere, you're going to have to get on the highway to go north and south or east and west. So if you don't want to deal with that, then you probably want to get closer into here in East Austin. So that about wraps up this guide. If you found this useful, hit me up on my website, tacostreetlocating.com, so I can help you find your next apartment. And I'm totally free to work with. I've helped hundreds of people move just to East Austin. I know what I'm talking about. My research process is really thorough. So, yeah, hope you found this useful. Take care.